All right, we're now live. Testing microphone. See if y'all can hear me. Let's go. Okay, so we have 7 people here in the room. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Let's do a quick sound check. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, put a message in the chat. If you can hear me, put a message in the chat. If you cannot hear me, put a message in the chat. Shanae McKenzie, I see you. Fantastic. I see Hamza. I see Mary. I see Arif. Fantastic. So we have 30 people. Ooh, 30 people in here. It's growing. We have 170 people registered today. So I look forward to seeing more of y'all join. If you want to learn how to land a project manager or Scrum Master job with no experience, you've come to the right place. Okay. So let's all get together. First thing I'm going to do, let's do a quick, quality check. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. You should be seeing a screen that says how to land the project manager or Scrum Master role with no experience. So if you can see my screen, you could just type screen, right? So we can make sure we're all good. You could just type screen or yes, so I know you can see my screen. Okay, let's do that real quick. I see that we have, okay, perfect. We have 45 people in here right now. Let's get it. Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone. We're not going to waste no time. We're not going to waste your time today. We're going to go straight to it. Let's see if we can move this around. Okay, perfect. So we're going to kick off with intros. I'd like to meet you all. We're going to get all 49 of you to come on and introduce yourself. I'm kidding. We're going to do it through chat. I'm going to introduce myself. We can learn about me. We'll talk about the different roles, the project manager role, the Scrum Master role, and just get a sense of the differences. Then we're going to get into the mindset and the attitude. What's the mindset you got to have? Because it's the mind over matter. The mind comes first. Everything you see today that happened in the mind first before it became a reality. So what are the right mindset you got to be in to make this jump? Then we're going to talk about the skills you got to acquire and the knowledge areas you have to ensure you cover, okay? We'll get into some tips and resources, and then we'll get into how to take action, okay? So at the end, we'll have a chance to ask questions. At any point in time, if you have a question, you can jump in and ask the question. And again, if my sound gets low or anything like that, please let me know. I'll adjust it. I can do that real quick. So a quick icebreaker. Let's just get a sense of who's in the room, okay? What city are you tuning in from? If you want to drop that in the chat, let us know. Somebody says they can't hear me speaking. Anissa says she can't hear me. Is it just Anissa or can you all hear me? So let's just, if you guys can hear me, let's ask the question. Let's answer the question. What city are you tuning in from? What city are you tuning in from? There we go. So I see Calgary, Mississauga, Milwaukee, Toronto. Very nice. I'm in Toronto, Canada. People can hear me. That's good. Anissa, you might need to figure out what's going on. I see Calgary. I was just in Calgary. We had a meetup in Calgary. We had a Skill Hat Tech meetup in Calgary. It was awesome. Lots of PMs, Scrum Masters, BAs, developers were in the city. Really fun time. So I see a lot of differences. Saskatoon, Winnipeg. How's the weather out there? Toronto. Lots of Toronto in the room. T-Dot stand up. Montreal, Vancouver, South Carolina. Very nice. Jamaica, oh yeah, very nice. Jamaica. Brampton, Houston. I used to live in Houston. Very nice. Okay, cool. Now the next icebreaker, next thing we're gonna get a sense of is how has your January been in 2 words, right? This is the last day of the month. You had 31 days. How's it been for you in 2 words? How has January been for you in 2 words? For me, I'd say January has been exciting and also busy, very busy. Lots of annual planning as a CEO, as a director. It's been busy. Somebody says breakfast. I'm not sure what that means. I think maybe somebody broke up with you. Hot and cold. Cool. How has January been for you in 2 words? I already have music on and these things, but I'm using my earphones today just to make sure the sound is good. So usually I play some good music, some Afrobeat, but hopefully my voice will be good enough for you today. I said 2 words, not 1 word. Some are saying busy. How has January been in 2 words? Existing. Okay, interesting. All right, thank you. Good to see all the energy in the group. We now have 74 people in here. Hopefully we get a chance to network with each other today as well, just to give a sense of my background, because I'll be giving a lot of stories from my experience in the PM space. So I started off with education. I went to school in University of Toronto for technology and business. So I got a good mix of IT and business, and that's what helped me become a PM. I actually started my first job as a project manager in 2013 is when I graduated. I was a project manager and a business analyst working for a small tech startup in Canada. I then went back home to Nigeria, where I was born, to work as a project manager for Andela, which is a company who found the smartest people in Africa, help them become developers through training, and then place them with U.S. companies. So outsourcing before we had to work remotely. Then I went to my first role as an executive. I was a vice president and product owner at Edutech. So at this company, this was my first exposure to Scrum, to the Scrum methodology. I actually got exposed to it at Andela, but this is where we started practicing Scrum. So I became a product owner running a Scrum team. Then I came back to Canada after 3 years in Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, I built the first online MBA in Nigeria, huge claim to fame, built a lot of education products, a lot of education programs in Nigeria. Came back to work with the government of Canada as a project manager. Hated it. Worst job for me. Very bureaucratic. I didn't like that job, so I left. Got another executive position as assistant vice president and technical product manager at Marsh, the biggest insurance brokerage in the world. All that experience helped me get a sense of how to help other people get into project management, how to lead projects, and then we started SkillHat. So at SkillHat, I'm the co-founder and director at SkillHat. Our mission is to launch you to your dream career in the technology space in project management, business analysis, user experience design, software development, or product management. Any of those roles, you can come in here in SkillHat and make a transition into a high-paying job, okay? So let's talk more about the project manager. Let's jump right into the meat of the matter, okay? So the PM, what is the PM and what is the difference between a project manager and a Scrum Master? A project manager is responsible for defining, planning, and executing projects to meet the goal of the project, the objective, right? So as a PM, you have to ensure that you're completing the project within schedule, budget, and scope, right? So as a PM, you manage resources, usually people, time, and money. There's a specific project to do a new thing. So maybe a new business process or a new website for the company or new infrastructure. There's a specific goal. It's usually a new thing. There's usually a beginning and an end, a defined budget, a defined timeline. You have to manage the resources, the people, time, and money to achieve that goal, right? That's what a PM does. As a PM, usually with a project manager job title or a PM job description, it usually means like you could work in any industry. So the PM title usually could work in any industry. You see PMs in the healthcare space, education, software and IT, banking. Every industry requires project managers. And that's one of the reasons why it's a great career. And you can work on any kind of project type. So you can be working on construction as a PM. Like I'm a PM, I've done construction projects, infrastructure. I've done merger and acquisition, M&A, right? As long as there's a beginning, there's an end, there's a budget, there's work to be done, there's people, that's a project. And as long as you're a project manager, you actually can manage any kind of project, right? That's the PM. Now, what is a Scrum Master? A Scrum Master is a facilitator, okay? A Scrum Master really is a project manager, but a very specific type of project manager in the IT space who is facilitating the team. As a Scrum Master, the difference is you're focused on software development and facilitating a software development team, a team of engineers, developers, designers, and you're using the Scrum methodology, okay? As a PM, you could be using Scrum, Kanban, Waterfall. We're going to learn about different methodologies here, right? But as a Scrum Master, usually means you're focused on Scrum, you're focused on building software, and you're focused on facilitating a Scrum team, okay? As a Scrum Master, you follow Scrum principles. You ensure the team follows Scrum principles, removing any kind of obstacles in their way, impeding on their progress, and ensuring that the team has a good environment to do the work, okay? As a Scrum Master, you can work in any industry as well. You might see Scrum Masters in banking, again, in healthcare, Even in mining, we had an alumni at Scalehead who got a job in a mining company building mining software. But you usually are not doing any kind of project type. You're usually focused on building software, right? And that's one of the big differences. The methodology is the difference, and what you're doing is the difference. Okay, let's just get another focus into Scrum. Okay, so this is, if you understand this image we're showing on screen, then you understand Scrum at a high level. Okay, it all starts with the customer. As you'll see, there's a customer who will give, if a customer has his needs, right? A customer wants a new website or a mobile app, right? Let's say it's a hair salon. I love the hair salon example. There's a customer who owns a hair salon, right? And he or she wants an app for people to buy hair products and book hair appointments so they can come in, right? That's the customer need. Now in Scrum, we have 3 roles in a Scrum team, right? So what does Scrum mean? It's just a methodology, just a way of work, right? In Scrum, we have the product owner, the Scrum Master, and then the Scrum team. And so the customer talks to the product owner, who is the voice of the customer, usually a business person, usually a person who kind of owns the customer and says, I need X and Y. The PO, the product owner, will then communicate that to the Scrum Master and the Scrum team of developers, saying this is what the customer needs, prioritize. Let's do this in the first month, this in the second month, and this over the first quarter, right? The PO will prioritize what we're doing. Now, the Scrum Master will work directly with the team to ensure they have the right working environment and to ensure that they have all they need and they're following Scrum principles. So that comes with a lot of steps we're going to learn, but at a very high level, that's kind of what happens. The Scrum Master ensures the right working environment and facilitates this team of developers. Now, these developers will build whatever software that the client needs, show it to the product owner. The PO will accept or reject and say, yes, this is great. You guys have built the ability to book an appointment, the ability to buy a product, order a refund, whatever, great. I'm going to go show the client. The PO then takes it to the client, shows the client says, I love it. What do we do next month? Sends that back to the PO, and that cycle continues all over again. But the Scrum Master is responsible to ensure that the work gets done by the software development team. Okay, so quick sense of if that was valuable, or new to you, or already knew, you can put it in the chat. So that whole slide of Scrum at a very high level, what are your thoughts on that? Y'all can throw it in the chat real quick. Was that valuable? Was that something you already knew? Or was that something that kind of was a reinforcement of something you already knew as well? I love to get feedback. Usually it will be like a Zoom class and I can hear from everyone, but we're using Webinar Jam today. All right, so yeah, I see a bunch of comments in the chat. Valuable, learn something new. That's good to know. Awesome. So why should you consider these roles? Like, why should you waste your time here? Is this something that's going to die in the future, or should you spend your time learning this? Well, the first is you should consider these roles. These are lifelong skills. I started off my career in PM. I'm now CEO of $1 million company. These are skills that help me in my career, help me get to become an executive, and then help me start a business. And I'm using PM skills today in my business. So very valuable, right? So the first thing to be aware of is there's increasing demand. This is a hot role right now, hot. Demand has increased for PMs and Scrum Masters by 30% in the last 5 years, okay? So you might hear me say the word PM, I mean project manager, not product manager, which is a different role, right? So the project manager, Scrum Master in the last 5 years, there's been a 30% increase in demand. Why? Well, you probably know, right? There's a lot of change happening in the world. So PMs manage change, a lot of change with COVID, for example, and with regulation and with technology. So we help manage these changes as PMs and Scrum Masters. And also we help build software. If you understand what's happened in the last 10 years, the top companies in the world are all tech companies today, right? So the top companies in the world, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Netflix. 20 years ago, these were all oil companies. It was all Texaco, ExxonMobil, and Walmart, right? So there's been a shift to value being built on the tech side, and PMs and Scrum Masters were responsible to build the software by managing development teams. So demand has gone up in the last 30 years. It's expected to continue growing up by another 33% until 2027. Okay, so demand has been growing. Demand will continue to grow. That's one reason to get into it. 2 is a high earning potential. We're going to talk about the salaries in the next slide. 3 is career advancement. It's a great foundation for career growth. I'm a good example, right? I started off as a project coordinator, project manager, and I just worked my way up. And it's been a great career for me personally and many of our alumni at Skillhat and in my personal network. And then you can work in any industry, right? So lots of industries may collapse. The oil industry collapsed recently about 4 years ago, especially those in the Calgary area in Texas. You might have experienced that. And even the tech industry, there's certain layoffs right now. But if you have project management skills and Scrum skills, you can work in any kind of industry, right? And that is really powerful. You can jump from oil. Like I've worked in insurance, I've worked in education, I've worked in e-learning, I've worked in e-commerce, and this is utilizing the same skill set of being a PM. So it's very valuable because you have a resilient career. And you get to make a positive impact because you get to do stuff like this. You get to launch projects, you get to launch new software, new products, new processes that really help people's lives become better. Okay. And you have job satisfaction. It's not the same thing over and over every day. It's always a new project. It's always you being innovative. Okie dokie. So how much can you make in this role, right? Well, in the US and Canada, the average PM with experience, so somewhere around 3 years of experience or more, will make about $87,000 a year, and you can make even more. So the range is quite wide, right? Most people start off at the 55K mark, so with limited experience, but in a very short time, you can go to a senior role. You can go from 55 to 150K in 4 years, in 3 years, in 2 years, depending on how fast you move and your previous experience, right? So I see this every single day. If you go to our Instagram right now, you're going to see a lot of salaries of our alumni. We have people who are making 180K who took the Skillhat programs, 140, 150, 170, 90K, and even more. So this is according to Glassdoor. You can see the job descriptions online yourself, right? So just to show you kind of things you're going to be working on at a very high level, it might involve improving your business process, launching a new event, leading some construction projects. These are more on the PM side, and just developing or redesigning a website or mobile app, right? It could be data migration, so moving data from one place to another, system upgrades. So companies might need to improve or upgrade their laptops from Windows X to Windows whatever, or upgrade the Macs across the whole company. So that's a project, right? You might have to run a project like that. Or implementing a new system. So you ever heard of a system like Salesforce or CRM, right? So companies run on systems, right? Right now we're running on Webinar Jam. Your company probably uses a CRM to collect customer information or payments, right? There's all these systems that we use as businesses. So there might be a project to implement a new system or go from one system to another. That's usually a project that's hot that PMs are called in to help us do. We're going to go from system A to system B. When you're done, thank you very much, next project. The last one is system integration. So connecting two systems together. If you think about like a call center, might have a phone system, and they might have another system that collects payments. When you make a phone call, it creates a record of that customer, and then you click send invoice. The invoicing system sends the invoice. Payment system collects the payment. There's 3 systems connected together. There's projects like that to integrate systems together. It's called systems integration. Okay. And so at a very high level, I want to just talk about job descriptions and just kind of give you a sense of what companies are asking for in the role. And then from there, we'll have context on what we talk about today, right? So we're going to start off at the junior level, so to speak. Here's a project coordinator with McMaster University. This is a school close to where I live, about 10 minutes from me. This role is paying about up to $39 an hour, which is how much? So if you see a role that pays a certain amount per hour, how much does that mean in a year? Right? How do we know how much that is in a year? Who has any idea? At $39 an hour, how much is that per year? Well, it's very simple. You just multiply by 2,000. Right? There's 2,000 working hours in a year. About that. So this role will pay about $80,000 in a year. Right? As a project coordinator, they're asking for 24-month contract, assist with implementing projects for the objectives, right? Coordinating multiple projects, meeting quality standards, budget constraints, timelines. You will see coordinating multiple projects, project planning, status reporting, managing clients, coordinating aspects of the project from beginning to the end, working with different teams, tracking, whatever, what else they got? Control documentation, proposals, estimation, facilitate dialogue between the user and technical staff, right? Take ownership, work closely with departments. So this is a coordinator job. They're asking for a bachelor's degree in business or related field. So almost any field can be related, right? One of our big instructors, David, he's a senior business analyst in the tech space, but he studied history, right, in high school. Pardon me, in university. Okay. I'm getting a message from Anthony saying I'm breaking up and visuals are blurry. Is it just Anthony, or how's it going for you? Let me know if my sound and visuals are good for you. Anthony, I recall last time we had a webinar, you had the same issue and you had to like reset your computer or something. So maybe try that. Okay. All right. So this is saying 4 years of relevant experience, but here's the trick, right? Any work experience could be relevant, right? If you look at this job, they're saying prepare documentation, training materials, review recommendations, follow a script, a documentation script, dialogue. If you can show that you've done similar work, you can count that as related experience. And that's the first thing I want to talk about today. And we're going to get into that. Okay. Let's look at another different role. This one pays a little bit more. This is a project manager 2. So when you see 2, usually means like a more senior role. So this is a Halton region. This is a government type organization. They're paying up to $100,000 a year for this role, 35 hours a week. They're requesting only 2 years of PM experience. And again, you can kind of finesse almost anything to become PM experience. Every day you manage projects in your home is PM experience. And we'll talk about that again. There's a section where we'll talk about that. Okay. All right. So the role is asking you to modernize access to services. So probably there's a government service that you have to maybe go fill a physical form in person to submit. They want to digitize that, right? Back in the day, we used to have to file taxes by paying an accountant and shipping documents. Now you can do it all online. So government is modernizing a lot of services, and this is a role that's going to do that. Okay, let's close this off. Let's close this off. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's keep it going. So what are you doing in this role? You are managing delivery of projects on time and on budget, as you see similar, right? PM documentation, such as charters, PM plans, process flows, etc. Document, and we're going to see this again. So what I'm highlighting right now, there's a slide where I'm going to show the documents you have to learn to do. Here's an example. So you're going to see it again coming up. Document, report, escalate variances. So a variance is like, okay, we plan to have this project done in 4 months. We're now in month 2 and we're not 50% done. That's a variance. We're 40% done, but we should be 50% done. So you have to report that and talk about how do we solve that, right? So you're asking for diploma, so not even a university degree, from any college, 2 years, possess or working towards certification, familiar with IT infrastructure, learning the tools of PM. So I wanted to show all these job descriptions because when we talk about how to actually learn the skills and get the role, I want us to be clear what the target is. These are all the roles we're targeting, right? 6-figure, 100K jobs, paying that or even more, right? Here's another one. We're going to look at another one here. And this is going to be for a Scrum Master. So a bit different. And this is with a company that is very popular in Canada called Interact. Interact processes a lot of payments. We receive payments from this company at ScaleHack. So this one is now a Scrum Master role. And you notice this is quite different from a project manager role. As a Scrum Master, you're working on products. So once you see Scrum Master, you're usually working on software, right? You're working on products and services. You're responsible to adopt and practice agile values and principles. Removing impediments, enabling the work of the development team, the innovative team, right? Let's see more of what you're doing. So as a Scrum Master, it's mostly a lot of coaching. You're mostly coaching people every day around the Scrum principles, around how to practice Scrum. And we'll talk about specifically how we do that. So you're providing coaching and support to the team. You're going to introduce new practices to help them improve and become more effective. You're going to work on workflow management. So Kanban and Scrum boards. These are just simple boards where you document the work and you move a task from to do to doing to testing to now completed. Provide support to the team as a servant leader, helping them evolve. Practice the day-to-day agile ceremonies. So agile ceremonies just mean the meetings. We have certain meetings every single day. We're going to talk about that, right? Working with the PO. I told you about the PO, the product owner. You're going to work with the PO to enable sprint planning. We'll talk about what that means as well. You're helping the PO and team to refine and improve the product backlog items. We're going to talk about that as well. So these are all new words you're probably not familiar with, but they're actually quite simple. And it's actually the same things that we usually will talk about. So product backlog just means what are the features we're going to work on. In Scrum, there's a whole lingo that you just have to learn, but it's actually quite straightforward. When I first saw it too, it looked like Greek. I'm like, what is a product backlog? What is an agile ceremony? What is Kanban? What is PO? But these are actually quite straightforward once you learn them, okay? And then who are you? You're a decisive, solution focused. They're asking for 5+ years of experience in a similar role, working on digital stuff, having a degree in business, computer science relative, Scrum Master certification, skilled negotiator, detail-oriented, creative, etc. So I'm going to stop there and just show that there's other roles like program manager. There's a job title of program manager at Apple, for example. And I Google how much does a program manager at Apple make? $128,000 a year, right? So there's tons of opportunities, and I wanted to show that. So let's switch back to the main presentation here. So that's the target. Now, how do we get there? How do we hit that target? Let's get this to load. And oh, by the way, we're going to be going for at least an hour and a half today. Okay. So the webinar will take an hour because we're going to get a bit technical and a bit deep to help you achieve your goals. If you got to jump off, that's fine. It's recorded. You can watch the recording. But for those who are here, you're going to have a good time. You're going to learn a lot. So let's get a sense of you. I'm going to put a poll. What role do you desire? I'm going to put a poll up. You should see a poll in the webinar jam. So the question is, what role do you desire? Okay. You should see a poll right about now. So you can click it. Do you want a project manager in tech role, or a PM in any industry, or Scrum Master, or other? Okay. So I see a bunch of comments. So far, Scrum Master is leading at 45%. PM in any industry is at 43%. And then PM in tech is at 12%. So it's going up and down. We'll give it a few more seconds, okay? We'll give it a few more seconds. Thank you all for filling out the poll. This will help me in today's presentation to get a sense of kind of how to skew what we talk about today. Today we're here to help you get a PM job, Scrum Master job. We're not selling anything. We're just here to tell you how to make this jump for your career. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so I see it's about 40% project manager in any industry. Fantastic. 38% Scrum Master. 16% PM in tech. And other 3%. So just to put in the chat, if you put other, what might the other role be? Now, the other question I wanted to get a sense of is, so what is your current role right now? You want to get into Scrum Master PM from what? What are you currently doing? Let's get a sense of who's in the room. What is your current role right now? Where are you transitioning from? I'm going to get up for a bit, stretch my legs. If you could put in the chat. So I see Chi-Chi says you want to go, you're transitioning from product owner. That's interesting. So I'm curious to where you're trying to get into. If you're already a PO, what might you be trying to get into? I'm that's a bit curious about that. I see finance. Okay, so I think PO was what she's trying to get into. I get it now. Okay, got you. So you're trying to get from into PO. Got you. Yeah, okay. I see marketing and communications to Scrum Master. I see nursing, chef, crew. Okay, yeah, absolutely. There's also PM jobs in the aviation space, operations. I see from the healthcare industry, scientific research, administration, pharmacy, non-tech PM to tech PM. assistant into PM. Yeah, these are all logical transitions, and I really love what I'm seeing because these are all logical transitions from being an assistant to being a leader, from being a non-tech PM to being a tech PM, from working in government to leading government projects, right? So fantastic. Thank you all for sharing that. And the final question for you guys, what do you think are the gaps preventing you from getting into this new role? What are the gaps that are preventing you from getting into the role? What gaps do you see? Because we're going to work through our gaps today, okay? What do you think are the gaps? Let's throw it in the chat as well. All right. Yeah, this is nice. We still have 100 people strong in here. Very nice. So Hamza says skill set and experience, right? So we all have some experience, right? And we're going to talk about how to leverage the experience that we do have to get to where we want to go, right? Because no one was born a project manager. I wasn't born a PM managing a team of 17 people or a $10 million project. You learn it, right? So we all start from somewhere. And we're going to talk about how we start from where we are. As far as the gaps I'm seeing, hands-on experience, the skills, learning the tools and working on our resumes, knowing where to start. Yes, I agree. Information overload. There's a lot of information, a lot of stuff on the web, right? People will post a LinkedIn post and say, here are 20 courses you can take right now. Here are 500 steps you can take. It's a little too much, right? So we're going to break it down to very simple 5 steps, okay? Not having a degree and experience for sure. I'm sure you have it, Sinead. The degree part as well, we can overcome that because of the education we provide at SkillHat, but also lots of jobs in the PM space may not require anything beyond a high school degree. Networking, tech skills. So thank you all for your comments. Let's continue the presentation. So is this for you? This is for you. You can become a PM, a Scrum Master, if you, A, have communication skills. If you can command a room, talk to people one-on-one or in a group, you can speak good English, you can write effectively, you can become a PM or a Scrum Master. 2, you have a nature, you want to drive change, you want to improve things, you see a problem, you're thinking, how can we make it better? You can become a PM if you have that trait. 3 is you love to organize people and work on complex problems. You can become a PM if you have that trait. 4, you can work with people. You're not an a-hole. People say, oh, you're a nice guy, you're a nice lady. Nice to you today, right? If you can work with people, you can become a PM. And if you want to innovate, you have a natural liking for technology, for the newest app, you got it. You want to innovate, you're tech savvy, you can easily become a PM if you have these traits. Who should not get into this? You should not get into this if you don't want to work on managing people, don't want to manage people, don't want to manage money, don't want to manage schedules. You want to just work on your own thing, hand it in, and that's okay. There's roles for that, right? There's developers who do that, or even BAs in some contexts, right? Some quality assurance, QA. That might be the role for you. If you don't want to manage resources like people's time and money, this is not for you. If you're not keen to drive change, like I've met people who are like, yeah, I don't want to change. I don't want to drive change. I just want to do things as they are, work with the status quo. This might not be for you. If you like to work alone versus working with other people, it might also not be for you, okay? And if you want to work on the same thing over and over, like some people like that. Like for me, this is hellfire. If you tell me work on the same exact thing every single day, like in the factory, I take this thing, I put the cover on, or I take it off, then I put it here, I do that all day, kill me right now. I just can't do it, right? I like to work on new things all the time. Bring it on. New innovation, new project, bring it on. That's me. If that's you, this might be for you. But if you're not about that life, then this is not for you, okay? All right. So, biggest myths. Number 1, I can only be a PM or Scrum Master in tech if I have a technical background. This is false. You do not have to have a technical background to work as a Scrum Master or an IT project manager, okay? I've seen people with backgrounds in healthcare, HR, business, right? And even computer science, which is technical, but people can come from all walks of life into this space if you can learn the specific skills. 2, to lead software projects, I must learn to code. That is also false. You can lead technical teams without coding and doing the work hands-on. You provide a collaborative environment, you schedule their work, you manage your budgets, you're not necessarily the one coding. So that's also false. 3, I'm not a PM until I have the job title. Big no. That's a false as well. Lots of PMs have different titles. You can have a title like events coordinator, events manager. You could even be an accountant. You could be team lead. You could be a real estate agent. You could be a mortgage broker, whatever your title is, whatever you're doing right now. As long as you are in some capacity leading projects, change initiatives, you're managing budgets, you're managing people, anything that has a beginning and an end, you are doing the PM job, okay? So you don't have to have the title to actually do the work or refer to yourself as a project manager, okay? 4 is I don't have experience. So kind of similar to everything I've already said. Start where you are. Pause here. Let's pause here and think about it. If you have any experience doing any kind of initiative whereby you change something, you help a business to create some new capability by creating a new business process or being able to supply a new product, right? Or installing a new system or building a website, or again, process improvement, hiring people, any kind of work involving making change to improve a business with a beginning and end, a budget, and a schedule, that is project management, and that experience is valid, okay? Number 5, I can't get a job until I have a PMP. That is also false. As a matter of fact, I've seen people who have a PMP and come for more training because they just can't get a job because they have no hands-on experience. The hands-on experience is critical. We'll talk about how to get that. Whatever you have in lieu of that is experience, you can use. So you should apply for jobs as soon as you have the skills. As soon as you've learned, you've gone through some education, you should apply right away, okay? Don't wait till you have a PMP, wait for another 2-3 months. I've seen people wait and lose time because of that, okay? So this is it. This is why we're here. The simple steps, the 5 steps to land a high-paying project manager or Scrum Master job. So from here on out till about 20 more minutes when we're done, we're going to talk about each of these steps. Step 1, education. Learn the skills and tools you require for the job. You cannot skip this step. Some guy called me. He's like, Mo, I have a guy who wants to just work on my resume. He's in Dallas, but I don't know him like that. I'm in Toronto. Help me with my resume. I don't know. I'm an entrepreneur. I sell cars, but just help me with my resume. Make it look like I've been a PM. Once I get the job, then you can help me with the job. Let's just work on it. I don't want to go through the 2 months of training. We don't do that. Learn the skills. Put in the work. These are lifelong skills that don't take a lot to learn. A lot of us here have taken the Skill Hat PM course. I see Shanae, I see Dami here. You can put some comments in the chat to talk about your experience learning the skills. We're going to talk about what you need to learn, okay? But that's the first step. Step 2 is you should become certified. Now, you don't have to be certified to get a job, but we recommend that you actually become certified. And we'll talk about that as we talk about each one. We're going to break down each one of these 5 in the next coming slides. Step 3 is my favorite step. Do the work, build. Lead projects where you are right now and build products where you are right now to get hands-on experience that you can talk about in the interviews to land the next thing. A lot of people will go take a course, take the PMP, and stop there and just keep applying for jobs for months. That will make you regress. You're going to take a step backwards, or you're going to stay in the same spot. What you want to do after you get the skills and you become certified is you never stop building. Never stop leading project in any capacity, and always keep building new things and new products. That way, you're always in that mode, that innovation mode. You're always hot, right? So number 3, build and do the work even before you apply for jobs or as you're applying for jobs, which is number 4. So we're going to talk about how you build a strong PM resume and how to apply both aggressively but strategically. And number 5, network. Your network is your net worth. So network with peers and leaders and educate people. So this is it. These are the 5 steps. Start with number 1, okay? So we're going to break down each of these 5 steps, and then we should be done at about 7 p.m. Eastern. So let's jump into number 1. You must learn these skills. And you can take a picture of this if you want. And as we go, feel free to take a picture. You're going to have access to the recording and the slides. This is all for you. But it just helps to have pictures and notes sometimes, okay? So you must learn these skills. On the project management side, the IT project management side, you have to learn something called the SDLC and the PMLC. Okay, that's the first thing you have to kind of understand. The SDLC means the software development lifecycle. The PMLC means the project management lifecycle. It's just a simple 5-6 step framework that you will use in every single project. Every single project goes through the PMLC. There's 5 steps: initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. I'll say that again. Every project has 5 steps: initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and then closing. So your job here is to learn, is to one, know the 5 steps for every single project. And then 2, understand for every single project, what is my role in the initiation phase as the PM? What is my role in the planning phase? Once you understand that, you have a framework to view the world, right? It's like you know how to speak a language, right? It's like you can't speak English, so you understand ABCs. And you can put words together. So now you understand what people are saying because there's a framework in your mind. So that's kind of how we lead projects. Once you understand that, that's a good first step. Now, within context of that, we now have another thing called the 10 knowledge areas, right? There's 10 knowledge areas that you have to understand as a PM. These are integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, risk, communication, procurement, stakeholder, and there's one more, right? So 10 knowledge areas. You have to understand what each one of those are, because as a PM, your job is to manage scope, manage quality, manage scheduling, manage budget, manage risks, manage procurement, manage stakeholders, right? There's a series of steps and ways we do that. So you got to learn those 2 things: PMLC, SDLC, 10 knowledge areas. Then we got to get into your soft skills. So the soft skills are critical for a PM because a lot of times you're working with other people, right? You're not hands-on necessarily coding or doing data analysis or robotics. You're managing the teams who are doing that. And that involves some management, because a lot of times you're not their boss. You're not their actual manager. Their manager is somebody else who's called a functional manager. Your job is to coordinate cross-functional teams. So you might have a team you have to manage to get a project done, which might involve a developer, maybe a designer, an accountant, a person in marketing, a person in sales, a person who is on the research side of things. So it's a cross-functional team. They all have their own boss. You have to get them to work together to get a project done, right? So there's a lot of soft skills required. Then you have to master these documents, right? So we have documents called, like if you remember, I talked about that, right? We saw that in the job description before. So these documents include the project charter, the project plan, the project schedule, WBS. What does that mean? What does WBS mean? The work breakdown structure. Then the budget, risk register, project status report, and project closeout report. So these, as usual, these are documents that you create from the beginning of the project till the end. So the charter is a way to initiate the project, right? And the project plan is to plan it out. Then we got to do a schedule. Then we got to do a work breakdown structure, which is the scope. Then we got to do a budget. We got to manage risk. And then we got to report on the project to the executives, to the sponsor. And then when it's all done, we close it up, right? So once you've gone through all these, this is a very high level, right? This is a very simple, simplified way of looking at it, but that's what we want, right? It gets deep and complex, but let's start off with a simple way. You have to learn these, and then you're well on your way. Now, on the Scrum Master side of things, here's what you got to learn. One is the Agile SDLC. So I talked about the SDLC. When it comes to Scrum, we use the same SDLC, but in context of Agile. I can't explain it on this webinar, but it's really about taking a project and saying, as opposed to going from initiation, planning, closing in 5 months, I'm going to run through all that every 2 weeks. Again, it's a bigger conversation, but learn about the Agile SDLC. Okay. Then we got to learn about the 4 key Scrum meetings. You have to run these meetings every single sprint, every single week. Who could throw in the chat for us? What are the 4 key Scrum meetings? Who was the first who's going to put that in? Fastest fingers. What are the 4 key Scrum meetings? And you can say, I don't know. If you don't know, you can put in the chat as well. Let's let's all connect. I see your name, and then we can, when we talk offline, I'll recall your name, and we could kind of follow up from there. What are the key 4 Scrum meetings? Fastest fingers. Yep. Daily stand up. Okay, so I see a lot of that in the chart. Good job, guys. Here are the 4 key Scrum meetings you got to run as a Scrum Master. The first is called the sprint planning meeting. So in Scrum, we do work in sprints. Sprints is 2 weeks of work. Anthony, good job. That's in order. Yep. So if you look at Anthony's comments in the chat, that's the order, right? Anthony or Ruby. Sprint planning is, so in Scrum, we have sprints. So let's say the client says to you, hey, John, I want you to build me an app, right? I want the app to be able to help me to, let's use a hair salon example, right? I run a hair salon and I want to be able to process orders. So if people can buy stuff online through my app, they can buy hair products and they can book me for service appointments. You then tell the client, sure, all that might take 2 months, but we're going to start with 2 weeks of work. In 2 weeks of work, we're going to build you to one feature, which is just simply creating an account and being able to add a product and make a payment. The other stuff might come later, but just 3 features: create an account, add a product, and make a payment. We're going to run that in 1 2-week timeline, which is called a sprint. So as a Scrum Master, you plan for that sprint in a sprint planning meeting. That's the first meeting. Then every single day with your team, well, when I say plan for that sprint, what I mean is you estimate the work, you break it down into tasks, you identify who's doing what over that 2-week period. So developer A, you're doing this piece, developer B, you're doing that piece, designer A, design that screen, tester test at the end. So we're kind of planning out a 2-week period, right? So then you plan out in that sprint planning meeting. Second meeting is called the daily stand-up. You meet every single day. So every single day we have a daily stand-up where you as a Scrum Master will go around the room and ask the team, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what blockers are in your way? Second meeting. The third meeting is the sprint review. This is like fast forward to the end of the sprint. So now come 2 weeks are done. It's now the Friday of the second week. The team will show what was done. Developers will come and say, hey, in the last 2 weeks, I built this feature. I've designed the screen. I've built the ability to do this and that. I made it secure. They will review it and show you. That's called the sprint retrospective. The sprint review. Then the sprint retrospective is now the team retrospecting and saying, okay, how do we do in the last sprint? How did we do in the last 2 weeks? What should we do differently next time? What was done effectively, right? So you have to learn the 4 key meetings to be a Scrum Master because you have to run these meetings. Similarly, you're going to have to learn soft skills. And now you notice I'm not saying master these documents. I'm saying master these artifacts. So the artifacts we have to learn to create and document are the Agile Charter, release plan, creating epics, user stories, product backlog, sprint backlog, estimating and story points, velocity, burn down chart, and sprint retrospective, right? So you're probably, it looks like Greek if you don't know what these are, but again, they're very simple. Now you've got to learn how to use the tools. On the right side of my screen, you're going to see 3 tools: Jira, Confluence, and Smartsheet. And so these, as a PM, right, you may have a team of like 10 people across the world. So you're not doing everything back and forth through email or through phone call. We use these smart tools to document our work, to assign work to our team, and to get feedback from our team when they're done with the work, right? So I'm seeing Emmanuel saying Trello. Exactly. That's another really good tool. So these are my favorite tools, and these are the 3 most popular tools out there when you add Microsoft Project and Trello. There's a lot of other tools. There's Monday.com, there's Asana. There's all sorts of tools out there, but they all do the same thing, right? So just start with your Jira, start with Confluence, and then either do Smartsheet or Monday.com or etc. I'm seeing a comment in the chat about Azure DevOps. It's the same thing as Jira. It does the exact same thing, right? So once you know one, usually you can learn the other. And as much as possible, play with all the tools, because you might go to an organization, they use a specific tool, and if you don't, never say I don't know how to use it, right? If you only use Jira and they ask you, can you use Azure DevOps, you're going to say stuff like, yeah, I can use it to plan my sprints. I can use it to document my notes for my stand-ups. right? Just talk about the same exact thing you use it for in Jira, or you use Jira for, and just say you could use the other tool for the same thing. You pass the interview. Because when you get the job, it's the same thing. It's like asking, can I use Microsoft Word versus Google Docs versus Google Sheets? It's the exact same thing. You can use one, you can use the other two. That's step one. Step two, get certified. So you're going to be a project manager, consider the CAPM or the PMP, depending on how much experience you have. You're going to be a Scrum Master, consider the CSM, Certified Scrum Master, or the PSM, Professional Scrum Master. CSP is a nice to have, okay? Why do we consider this? Well, because it's signal to employers. When you're certified, it tells employers that you're committed to the cause. It's like a signal that lets them know this guy has, or this lady has gone through some education and has taken an exam that shows they have the knowledge up there. They know the stuff mentally, right? Because they passed an exam. So oftentimes it's a great start. It's not always enough, but it's definitely a good start. It'll also help you differentiate yourself in an interview. Maybe it's between you and somebody else. It's the final stage of the job. Maybe because you have more certifications than the other person, they look at you more favorably. So definitely good to become certified. But again, you don't have, it's not required. How do I put this? There's not a law that says if you don't have certifications, you can't apply for a job and you won't get the job. That is not true. A lot of people who are PMs have tons of experience, have zero certifications, zero, but they have experience, and that stands for them. Number three, again, my favorite, do the work before the job. Get hands-on experience, okay? So to get hands-on experience, consider a few things. One, just ask for project management responsibilities where you work right now. Wherever you're working right now, if you work for a company in whatever role, accounting, healthcare, nursing, ask, is there a project that needs to be done? Is there an initiative? Or it might get spoken of in the meeting. They might be launching a new product that's not related to you. Raise your hand and say, hey, is there any kind of project work I can lead? Is there anything I can do to help? Always a big deal, because now you put that on your resume, you change your title to project manager because you were a project manager at that company because you did a project, right? Even though on your offer letter, your title might have said something different. Hey, a resume is not a contract, right? It's not a legal document. Your resume is your resume. Okay, so as long as you were able to do a project at that company, you can use the PM job title and you'll be good. Okay, or if you're more comfortable with it, use your existing job title, put it in bracket and say project manager, and then put the work of the project you did at the company you work at. Number two is just volunteering. I highly recommend this if you want to get into a PM job, because see, a PM job is not like an accountant job or a job where you're an analyst. It's a job that you can only learn by actually doing it. No matter how much you write documents in your laptop at home, unless you actually have a real project with real people looking at you in the face, asking what's next, with real timelines, real budgets, it's really hard to simulate that. So you got to just do the real work, do the real thing, right? And so volunteering is big. Volunteer at NGOs and charities because you're always strapped for a budget. Places of worship, for example. My wife, for example, she became a senior BA, now making tons of money because she was working for her church as a volunteer analyst. So she was working on helping her pastor build out this whole website and an e-learning and then an e-book, and she built all that stuff, help them test it, help them manage the developers who built it, helped her go to market with it. And all that experience she spoke about in her jobs, in her resume, and her interviews. She got a really good job with CBC as a senior BA. Now she's a senior product manager. But that volunteer gig she had for 4 months was huge for her career because she learned the skills, she had hands-on experience. So that's also another way you can volunteer. We have a great program here at SkillHack called the Career Accelerator. This is a 9-week program where you can actually build an app. Okay, so I love this program because you get to build an app with a team. A lot of the time, volunteering could be a bit inconsistent and not professional. Sometimes doing more work on your job might also not be the right methodology. You want to do it in the right way, where you're actually really a Scrum Master working on a real software, on a real app. So you can check out the Accelerator program. You can see the apps we built there at projects.skillhack.ca. You can actually go there and see all the apps that previous accelerator alumni built. So it's a 9-week program where you can actually take on the role as a project manager or Scrum Master or developer or designer and launch an app in 9 weeks, getting coaching every single day. So that's the program I recommend. And you can go in there and see all the apps that were built at projects.scalehat.ca and apply from there for that program. Okay. So then the fourth way to get hands-on experience is have a side business. So side hustles are so important now, right? Because y'all are hearing about the layoffs, right? Y'all are hearing about how even the almighty Googles and Twitters and Facebook are laying people off. These are companies that were considered the gold standard, whereby if you work there, you can never be fired. It's job security for life. But we're seeing 10,000 people got laid off at Google last week, right? 8,000 people got laid off at Amazon, pardon me, at Meta 3 months ago. And even Shopify recently cut down salaries. So they slashed salaries by 10%. Everyone was angry except one of my friends who had a side business. He just moved things around in the side business, increased his prices, changed a few things, added a new product, income is back to the same, right? And so the point here, though, is this is a really good time to have a side business because everything is going to shits right now. Lots of companies are outsourcing their work abroad to other countries because everyone's working from home anyway. If I could hire a developer in India or Morocco for $2,000, why would I pay $20,000, right? So lots of jobs in the US and Canada are being outsourced, but it doesn't mean that there's not also a lot of opportunities because of all this change at the same time. But my point is, when you have a side business, you get to actually run projects, right? And if you have a business right now, then consider what projects can you run in your business in order to build more PM and Scrum Master skills, okay? That's step 3. I see a question about, is it only for those who want to get into tech to take the accelerator program at ScaleHat? Not necessarily. It will help you get into tech. It will help you get into any other role at the same time because the skill sets to manage projects and lead teams are transferable. Number 4, applying for jobs. So let's talk about the resume first, and we'll talk about the how to apply and stuff like that, right? So how are we doing on time? We have a few minutes left. Okay. So the first thing is you want to create a stellar resume. And so what does that mean? First of all, just call yourself a project manager or Scrum Master. Don't wait for someone to call you that, right? If you've taken the training, you've taken your certification, in the resume, call yourself a Scrum Master or PM. That's the first thing you want to do, manifest. When you go out to events, to a party, to a conference, they ask you, what do you do? I'm a project manager. I'm a Scrum Master. Manifest and call yourself that, and the world will start calling you that, okay? Number 2 is you want to kind of projectize a resume. What I mean is you want to talk about the projects you've run in the company in your resume. So with regards to manifesting, an example is, say you're at a restaurant, right? And you're working at a restaurant as a restaurant manager, but you're applying for a job as an HR manager after you've taken HR training. All you have to do in that resume is not talk about being a restaurant manager with regards to waiting tables and ordering food. You would then talk about the HR stuff and talk about how you hired people, how you manage people, how you came up with compensation and bonuses, right? So I'm making the point that you talk about the role you're applying for, not the role that you're in today in the resume. Okay. So, and then number 3 is you want to always quantify business impact. This is the biggest gap I see in resumes. So I hire PMs, right? Like I have a product team with like 1 Scrum Master, 2 developers, 1 product manager. I've hired tons of PMs in my career, maybe like 20, 40, right? So the biggest gap I see in resumes is there's no business impact documented. So it's different when you say, I was a project manager, I managed projects, and I wrote project documents, and I led the project, versus saying, as a project manager in my last project, I helped implement a new system that was able to automate the certificate creation for an insurance company, the impact of which helped us to save X number of hours across 10,000 employees, which results in a reduced cost of $1 million a year for the company, right? So you're talking about how many people were impacted by your work. You're talking about what was the dollar impact of that work, what was the savings that was created or revenue generated, right? And then you want to talk about how many people were in your project as well. So again, One, in your project team, what's the size? What's the number? What's the budget? Two, with regards to the impact for the company, how much in savings, how much in revenue, right? And then three, how many end users, how many customers were impacted by this change? So every line of your resume should start with action verb, coordinated, led, reduced, created, and then what you did. So coordinated project team to create X and Y, which led to X $1,000 in savings, right? We'll talk about automation tools and AI like ChatGPT and JobScan, but just look at a sample resume, right? If you take a look at this resume here, let's grab, do I have the resume? Let's see, I think I have it here. Let's see this one. Okay, so I want to show you an example. So at Skill Hub, we have all these resume templates that our alumni get access to. I'm going to show you one example of how a resume that is showing business value can be so catchy. So if you look at this resume, this is more a BA resume, but it's showing that this person led requirements elicitation using design thinking and Scrum to deliver the MVP, which means minimum viable product for an app that helps minorities find scholarships, right? And she or he generated a waiting list of 100 people before the product even launched, right? That's already giving you context on what they did versus just saying I was a BA. Then look at this. Complete a research survey and interviews. Can we zoom this in here? There we go. Receiving 50 responses in 2 weeks. Lots of people will just keep it here and keep it like this and just leave it like this, right? But it's not showing the actual result of the work. So that is a lot more interesting when you show this. Another example, performed analysis, identifying information gap in the market, leading to the identification of a $1.7 million business opportunity. Okay. Number 3, design lo-fi wireframes with 25 screens over 1 week. So you're showing how many screens were designed and how long it took, which is also good. Create a test plans and test it with 10 testers. Supported the team, created 100 user stories, etc. I got 100 signups on day 1, right? So I did not quantify what business value is huge for your resume because again, these guys who are looking at your resume, they don't know you, right? They don't know how good you are. You have to blow your own horn for anyone to understand the impact of your work. Okay. Just to show you more of how a PM or Scrum Master resume would look, it would usually have a profile that says, one, you got to have this in there that shows PM at the beginning, because otherwise it doesn't say the reviewer is not clear who you are when you take it out, right? So just show it so it's clear. I'm a PM, I'm a Scrum Master. Even though you don't think you are that, push yourself and call yourself that. Show your experience summary, your education, your certs, your skills, your tools, and then kind of get into quantifying it by project. So project 1, I did this work. This is what we delivered. This is how long it took. This is how much it cost. This is how I did the work to go from proposal to project scope to project charter to vision to budget to leadership to close, right? Project 2, same thing. I'm a Scrum Master now on this project. Led a team of 7, etc. And even this one isn't showing the business value, right? There's a gap here. It should show the business value. Release plan leading to what? Epics leading to what? Stand-up leading to what? What is the business outcome of your work? Okay. So I don't have time today to talk about ChatGPT and AI and automation, but just Google these tools, ChatGPT and JobScan. Lots of artificial intelligence tools out there to automate your job application process, help you create a strong resume really, really quick. Step 4B is how you actually apply in your job strategy, your application strategy. I recommend you to start by applying to industries that you're well versed in. Recent story of one of our network members who transitioned from so restaurants were closed due to COVID, and so she lost her job, and so she took PM training, and so she transitioned from being a server in a restaurant to now working on the IT team for a restaurant business called Touch Bistro, right? So she was able to transition from being on the floor to now building the application, the software for another restaurant to manage operations because you understood the operations of the restaurant. And so you want to apply it to industries where you're well versed in. If it's real estate, healthcare, go into the PM side of that industry. And then apply every day. You got to be doing like 10, 20 applications every single day because it's a numbers game, right? And again, there's automation tools like loop.cv that can apply for jobs for you. So check it out. Loop.cv, put your resume in there, the jobs you want. It'll actually apply on your behalf using AI and machine learning. I can't get into STAR approach, but use that to answer questions. Google that. And then network. So network with peers and leaders. So join communities. So for example, if you do a quick Google search for networking, you can just Google Scrum Master meetups. Hear me. And I recommend actually going in person. Meeting up online is a good start, but in person always makes a difference. So at meetup.com, lots of events always happening there. And of course, the organizers don't want an empty event. They want people there. So when you actually show up, you can meet the organizers, you can meet other Scrum Masters, other PMs. So you can Google meetups around me. And then you see a lot of stuff, right? So I don't even know what this is, but it looks good. Free Agile weekly meetup, user groups, community groups, tons of online and in-person meetups. Let's take a look at what this looks like. So there's all these meetups happening. You can connect with other people, have drinks. It just really helps you. It's like speaking a new language, right? If you're trying to learn a new language, they always advise just go to the country. You want to learn French, go to France. Live there for 2 years, you know how to speak French. So same thing in the tech space. If you want to learn about a new skill, just hang around those who are doing the work. You're going to get a lot of insight from that process. So Google meetups near me. Again, don't just sit at home and get into a black hole of just applying for jobs. Go out there and actually meet with other people, network with hiring managers, because you learn how they think and you learn how your peers also think. And then you're able to get referrals for jobs. It's a long game, but definitely network consistently. And so we've gone through, again, 5 steps to land a high-paying PM job, the Scrum Master job as well. Education, certification, build, do the work before the job, then apply for the jobs, and then network and educate. Last thing I want to talk about is educate the world. So you have to build a personal brand as much as you can, which means branding yourself on LinkedIn specifically is the one I go to. On LinkedIn, try to brand yourself as the PM and publish every single day. Every single day you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm posting about what I want to be known for, right? So post about what you're learning. So post about going to meetups. Post about, if you learn about Scrum today, post about 5 big myths in Scrum I just learned, or 5 ways to make a Scrum team effective, or 5 project management trends I foresee in the future. When you post consistently like that, recruiters don't know anything about the job, right? Recruiters are HR people. But when they see you on LinkedIn posting and you show yourself as knowledgeable, the impact of that is that they will start to associate you with that new space you want to position yourself for. And when they're hiring, they'll remember you. And if you do apply for that job, the question will not be, can you do the job? It will more so be, how much is your rate? Can I afford you? Right? So now the whole thing switches. Okay. All right. Just to finish up with the right mindset, and again, there'll be a repetition of what I've already said, right? So 1, you have to be in leadership mindset. So, and leadership starts from leading yourself. Lead yourself first. If you know you got to wake up at a certain time, wake up at a certain time. Because you can't lead others till you've led yourself. That's the biggest myth in leadership. People want to be leaders, but they don't understand you have to lead yourself first, right? Lead yourself first. Be a punctual person. Do what you have to do when you have to do it. That's the first thing that helps you become a good PM or Scrum Master. Then be solution oriented. Look for problems and think of solutions. So for example, if I'm walking down the street and I see a pothole, or I see a street that has no streetlights and it's dark, I think about, okay, if we have to do a project to get streetlights here, what would that look like? What would the plan look like? What would the schedule look like? Who would have to do it? How much might it cost? Maybe one streetlight is, so I meant to traffic lights, right? So one traffic light is $1,000. We're probably going to have one every 20 meters. So just thinking like that, even though you're not doing a real project, helps you be in that mindset for estimation, for solution building, for leadership. 3 is just always have a customer focus. Always think about customer service and think about how to serve other stakeholders. 4 is never stop learning. Always keep reading books on agile, on project management, on technology, because it always evolves. And then always teach others. So position yourself as the guy who's teaching other people. Even if you haven't done the job, you've learned something today. Go teach somebody else tomorrow. And the act of regurgitating something will make it fresh in your mind. Okay, that one's huge. And always be building stuff. Okay, so for those of us who want to take action today, there's a code. We're gonna give you a discount code to be able to learn the Agile Project Management course with Skill Hat. So I'm going to talk about how we help you at Skill Hat land a project manager job in only 2 months. So I'm actually the instructor for this class. We have about 5 programs. This is the only one I teach fully. And so at Skill Hat, we're a training and staffing company based in Toronto, Canada, and Houston, Texas. We provide expert training to launch you to your dream career in project management. With us, you can pivot, transition, and grow with a mentor by your side through that process, because it can be very lonely and daunting, right? Like I see Chichi's comment in the chat saying it's challenging with a nursing background, right? So you want to come to a place where all those 5 steps from education, certification, building, applying, and networking, you could go through all that in one place versus doing it on your own, and that's Skill Hat. And so we focus on those who want to transition to tech, newcomers to Canada, people who want to get certified or promoted, and then new grads. And so we have a strong alumni community. We have alumni who are PMs at the top banks, Amazon, the retail companies, tech companies like Slack and Workday. I see Antonia's on this call. To me, she's at Bell. We have all of our alumni on this call right now who have amazing jobs in all industries. And so we have the Agile Project Management course, which is 11 weeks on Wednesday evening at 6 and Saturday at 1 p.m. It's only 11 weeks for 5 hours a week. So when you're done, you've gone through 55 hours of training in both traditional project management and Scrum. So I really like this course because you learn both. And I always recommend that you learn both. You learn about how to lead projects the regular way, traditional waterfall, and then you learn Scrum, because the way your mind will be, you'll be able to see things in different perspectives. Because what happens is that in real life, a lot of companies are struggling to go from waterfall, traditional PM, to Scrum. So once you understand both, you can speak both languages, and you can help people transition. If you only know one, that's cool. But when you know both, one, you have more job prospects. You could do a project management job, project coordinator, Scrum Master, even product owner after this course. Okay, we start our next cohort February 4th, and here's the fun part: we have a referral bonus. If you refer a friend to this course, you get $100. For every friend you refer, you get $100 when they take the program. Michael just got $1,000 recently for referring 10 people. So, and all his friends got jobs too. So his friends were like, if you got paid, I feel like I should be paying Michael, because they're like, how do you? They were like, because this course was so good. They're like, I should be paying Michael, not him getting paid by Skill Hat, which is really good feedback. Okay, so 2 courses coming up February 4th and April 26th. If you want to take this course, it's 11 weeks. Just to give you a sense, we focus on the BIPOC community. We focus on Blacks, Indigenous people of color at Skill Hat. We focus on women as well. And so we want to focus on ensuring minorities land dream tech jobs. This is a picture from like 4 months ago. I love this picture because Lola already got a good PM job. So did, I think the guy's Kareem. Francis got a really good job as well. Lots of folks in the Skill Hat community land amazing jobs, and I can't wait to post your own success story. I want to be talking about how you joined the webinar today, and now you got a really good high-paying 6-figure job or whatever you want to earn. Here's some more screenshots of success stories from our Instagram. This is Wale. He got a really good job as a PM, transitioning from QA to being a PM. This job paid over $100,000. This is another lady who got a job as a project coordinator, making $70 an hour, which is $140K a year. Even I was like, whoa, good job. Right? A lot of the alumni success stories really marvel me, myself. Here's another one with this one transition. Like, I can't wait to post your screenshot, right? This lady went from making 55K messaging me to 72K. And so this is another 20K bump. She got this job 1 week after the course. And then this is the final one. I just love these success stories. I just want to show all of them. In this week, we had 3 offers. One of them got a Scrum Master job at BMO, moving from 45K to 90K. And then there's lots of jobs always happening every week. So how do we do that? How do we always get this success repeatable? We use a very simple process. The first is the course. So the 11-week course, you learn fundamentals of PM, you learn about Agile, you learn about Waterfall, and then you learn about the soft skills, you learn about the tools. The fee for the course is 1,800 Canadian dollars. I'm seeing Sitter asking that. It is $1,800 for the course, and that covers all the skill sets you need to learn to get a job. It also covers the tools, everything all in, $1,800 for the training. And then you get certified by SkillHat. So SkillHat is a training provider. You also get a certificate which is recognized by PMI and recognized by employers. And the course also helps you pass the PMP exam. There's a one-stop shop to learn about Agile, learn about Scrum, become able to pass the PMP exam or pass the Scrum certifications, right? Step 2 is one-on-one coaching. So you get a one-on-one coach who will work with you on your resume, your interview prep, your networking, everything all inclusive. There's one-on-one coaching for that. The accelerator program, I talked about it as well. It's another 9 weeks. So it's another 9 weeks after the 11 weeks of training. In this program, you get to work on building an app with a team. So you get to become a Scrum Master or PM with a developer, a designer, and a BA. Yeah, so that's another program I recommend as well. And number 4 is networking. We really have a lot of networking that we do at SkillHat. We have in-person events. We had one in Calgary 2 weeks ago. We have online events, huge Slack community. You can connect with lots of folks there, always posting jobs. And even when you land your first job, we're here to support you. I'm here to support you. You connect with me on LinkedIn. And so your next step is there's a discount. Okay, so thank you all. This is the end of our presentation. I'm going to put up the offer right now. If you want to get a discount for this program, for joining the webinar today, you can get $100 off, $100 off the webinar, off the course. So just use the code. I got to put the code in the chat. The code is SH100, uppercase. Get that code SH100 only from this webinar, and that will reduce your cost for the program by $100. There's a question of what is the cost of the accelerator. The cost of the accelerator is $1,200 if you take the PM course. If you want to just take the accelerator alone, you can do that if you've been trained by somebody else somewhere, and the cost of that is $2,200. Okay, so now is Q&A. I'm excited to just answer any questions you have. I think you could actually jump on and speak if you want. Okay, so you can actually just ask a question in the chat, or you can connect with me. But as far as the webinar today, we're done. So questions. With the training, can you be a Scrum Master? Yes. So it's called the Agile Project Management course. We teach you traditional PM and Scrum. You learn both over 11 weeks. So you can choose to become a Scrum Master, a product owner, depending on your experience, or a project manager. So yeah. Second question is there a course designed for Scrum Master? This course is designed to help you become a Scrum Master or a PM. So again, 11 weeks, you learn both traditional PM and Scrum. And yes, you can do that in 11 weeks because of how we design the program. Any other questions? Do you have any other questions from the group? Let's see what questions we have in the chat. If you want to speak, you could come on and ask a question. Yeah, so can you get the PMP without years of experience? The answer is no. In order for you to get the PMP, you have to have 4,500 hours of experience, usually around 3 years, of managing projects. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to have experience with the title of project manager. It just means you have to have experience leading and directing a team, right? So any experience you have, think about all that, and that helps you qualify. As far as recording of this session, yes. You should be getting an email tomorrow. in 24 hours-ish with a recording of the whole thing. You can watch it whenever you want, okay? Any other questions, guys? Okie dokie. So there's no further questions. Thank you all for joining us today. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I post every day on LinkedIn. I post educational content on Scrum, on project management. You can follow us at ScaleHat. As you see, every day we post videos on like how to boost your income, how to land a dream job. We post testimonials. We post our meetups we have in person. We post reels. So follow us on Instagram at ScaleHat, on LinkedIn. You can follow me, Mo. So my name is Mo Ekujumi. That's Mo Ekujumi on LinkedIn. And guys, also, you can post your LinkedIn in the chat. We can all connect. We have 75 people in here who are going to become PMs and Scrum Masters, or who already are. So post your LinkedIn and post why we should connect with you. Okay. So I'll post mine shortly. As far as other questions, is the program from February 4th? No. The program starts February 4th. That's the next cohort. We have another cohort starting April. So technically, yes, actually. There's a program from February to April. There's another one from April to about June. Okay? That's what I was trying to say. That was the point of this. But you're actually not wrong, because when this one ends in April, the next one starts. After the course, do you get help with interviews? The answer is yes. So just to show you the flow again, you can take step 1, which is the course. Then step 2, you get career coaching, which is helping you with the right role, interview prep, LinkedIn branding, and everything like that. And then step 3 is the accelerator, if you want to do that, where you can actually build an app with a team to get hands-on experience, and then networking and job success support. So you go through all the steps to help you become successful. Okay, yeah, let's connect on LinkedIn, guys. So I'm going to grab my LinkedIn and put it in the chat so that we can connect. Let's grab that. And then you guys can also grab your LinkedIn, put in the chat, and put why we should connect with you. So other questions, does the $1,800 include tax? No, it does not include tax. If you are in Canada, you are subject to a tax of 13%. So it's $1,800 plus tax. But again, there's a discount on that today using the code SH100. I'm going to put in my LinkedIn for daily lessons on PM and Scrum. Shanae, thank you for putting your LinkedIn in the chat. Do we get a recording? Yes, we do. Joy, what's the discount? Discount is $100. You get $100 off, so the program becomes $1,700. And you can take it from anywhere in the world you are, and we'll support you to get a job anywhere in the world through the process. Okay. Does the discount count for the April cohort, not the February cohort? No, it only counts for the course starting right now, February 4th. Elizabeth, Ibukun, Taiwo, thank you all for your LinkedIn. I'm here to answer any more questions. I'm not in a rush. We are done officially. So unless you're looking to connect with others on LinkedIn or you have any more questions, feel free to hop off. And again, we're starting the new PM training and Scrum. It's $1,800. We start February 4th on Saturday. There's a discount of $100 because you joined this webinar today. There's another cohort starting in April. You can join as well. So to join, just go to scalehat.ca. Scalehat.ca to join. And from there, you can see the course. You can register. Yeah, Tumbra, thank you. Let's actually talk about that. So for those who are still here, what did you learn today? Let's put it in the chat. What was the key thing that you learned today? What was your big takeaway today for those of us who were here? Can we just talk about that real quick? What was your key takeaway? You can throw it in the chat. And I'll keep the flow up so you can kind of see what you get in the ScaleHat Agile Project Management Program. Yeah, so Zarmina, thanks. Talking about how you learned about the Scrum Master role you didn't know existed. Yeah, Scrum Master role is big money, a lot of fun, really good career. KO asked if there's any programming experience required for a Scrum Master role. I talked about that. Were you not listening? I'm kidding. The answer is no. No coding experience is required. Yeah, Emmanuel says what you learned today was you didn't know that. You said I learned you have skills that you didn't know existed. Exactly. We all have skills that we just need to be able to position ourselves to show. BB, is that a blessing? Talking about sprint planning and the key Scrum meetings. Thanks for sharing that. Yep, Abiola said that I need to lead myself to be an effective Scrum Master. Absolutely. Yep, thank you all for sharing what you learned today. These are great. These are keeping me motivated to keep doing these. Thank you all for sharing that. Again, any more questions, connect on LinkedIn, connect on Instagram, connect on TikTok. We're on TikTok too. Yes, discounts for alumni. Absolutely. If you've taken the previous course at SkillHat, you get the next course at $500 off. So Laura, you want to take the PM course, it's $500 off because I know you took the product course. So yeah, and it might be a good course for you, but I think you're doing the accelerator too. So when we finish that one first, and then because you can't combine the Agile project management course and the accelerator because it's too much work at the same time. All right, so we're gonna close it off in about a minute. I'm gonna put some music on, and then you guys can kind of keep connecting on LinkedIn until we are out of here. Other questions: are PM and Scrum salaries around the same ballpark? Kind of, yeah. With experience as a really experienced PM, you can make over 120,000, 130,000. As a Scrum Master, though, because Scrum Masters are a little bit more rare today, and because Scrum Masters are building really high-value software, they end up making a little bit more. So I've seen Scrum Master roles pay as high as $180,000, 180K. I haven't seen PM roles pay 180K in many instances. But in the end, with experience, you can make well over 140,000 with experience. But again, no one starts with experience. We start where we are, and then we work our way up. But you got to start somewhere. In a short time, you'll be up there before you know it. Okay. Yeah, so thank you all for joining. It's been a pleasure on the webinar today. I will see you on the next one. Let's go build great businesses. Thank you, everyone.